Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching ECLECTICKA. I am Seven. We have Charles and we have Drew. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going through a Luke Cage review. Wow, that rhyme.
For the most part, for me, I guess it's like a 90% of a Luke Cage review because I am bringing up rear this time around. I'm 3 episodes behind. I've gotten caught up with so much stuff this weekend, and I just got busy, so I'm 3 behind. So you guys are at the helm of this one, man. I'm messing up. Well, Charles, I'm sorry. I know I gave you grief. Like, hey, man, if you don't watch the series, I'm going to go in and I'm going to roast you. But the tables have turned, I guess.
Man, we're going to put you roast you over the fire a little bit tonight.
But no, so I'm in the hot seat.
Most of it. So you're in for... So I don't know if I'm going to be able to cover everything anyway.
Right.
This is a lot to go over.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You want to start it?
Yeah, well, let's start it out with basically Luke Cage on Netflix. That's what we're talking about today. And the anticipation opens up. You hear great music. It's a great vibe. You see all these different images of Harlem, USA. Mm-hmm. And we start out at a barbershop. And that's how it opens up. I felt that it did kind of muddle around a little bit. It definitely had to warm up. But once you get going, it gets very good.
Yes, yeah. Once it picks up, it meanders a bit. Right. And we'll get more into that in the episode. It takes its time to really kind of like get into the characters. Because mind you, this is a reintroduction of people for Luke Cage. Right. I'm actually, where I'm at right now, I'm really surprised at how few nods they made to him in Jessica Jones is made. It's like you're reintroducing him for the first time for audiences, which is fine.
Right.
It takes its time. It takes, I better say, about maybe an episode or 2 to kind of like pick up traction. Mm-hmm. But when it does, man, it has a style of its own. We were talking about this before the show, how like it's fascinating how Marvel can take several different shows, 3 right now, 3 different shows that take place all in relatively the same place, but they have such stark like tones to them.
It's crazy.
Like Daredevil is a procedural, like law show, superhero element. Jessica Jones is a lot more thriller, psychological, drama. And Luke Cage is a straight up like urban crime drama.
Right.
Yeah.
That has superhero undertones with it. Like they're prominent when they come up, but it's like a lot of the show doesn't focus on superheroes or powers or anything like that. It's the exploration of the criminal underworld and the cops and these 2 dueling sides and how, when it comes to, I guess, being societally and right now, the relationship between the 2.
Yep.
And then that's like one of the recurring themes of the show. It's like the idea of cops versus criminals and where that line is blurred and who is just versus who is unjust and how do you go about meting out justice to those who fall like, on the fringes of that. And so it's really great in that regard.
You mentioned this before when we talked about Jessica Jones, and I have to say this particular series, Luke Cage, did the same thing where the abilities are a part of the show. It's not the show.
It's not the whole crux of the show. Exactly.
And they did a really good job.
Which is what I think makes it stand out. Among other things, there's quite a few things that make the Luke Cage as a series stand out when it's, I guess, as a show in general.
Right.
But in a much broader sense, like to the other Marvel shows, the look is very much like what you'd expect. It's straight up Harlem. It's very street. Some people like that. Other people I don't. I know our mutual friend, Black Crystal, she was watching the show. She digs it from what she told me, but she's like, it is a bit street for her. And I guess like certain inaccuracies of that, people that live in Harlem and New York, they'll note those little differences and be like, I don't know. But for me, a Cali kid, I'm just like, yo, this is all freaking dope. It's New York. We're in the street. We're out here.
I don't see what else you could really expect out of a Luke Cage set, if that makes any sense. I mean, it totally works. I love the characters. And what I mean by that is they used everybody, man. It wasn't like I always say, they didn't have any filler material. They used those characters. And it was like everybody contributed to this whole story. You know what I mean? That's what I love about it, man.
Oh, yeah. To the degree where it's like you get so caught up in some of these other side characters. I'm sorry, Cottonmouth was a fascinating villain. Like, spoiler alert. To me, I'm just like, he was arguably one of the most interesting characters fact that he gets taken away from us relatively early in the series, which I feel is a big shock. Like, I'm thinking he's going to push through till the end, and then freaking Black Mariah's crazy ass, she puts him down. Man, like...
Man, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I'm going to have to. If you didn't see it, don't listen to me. I'm sorry. My wife is over there. I didn't see it. Well, you should have watched it. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, dude, it applies to me too, man. I got 3 more left.
When he fell out, when she pushed him out the window, I was like, no, man. I was like, get up, get up, man.
You're like,
you thought he was gonna pull through, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought she.
And she kind of dips in and takes over his role. The characters and their motivations just are particularly fascinating. I gotta say, when it comes to the crime drama element, it like, I don't want to say it's just like it killed in every way conceivable, but you get invested in the villains and the main characters, like the good guys and the bad guys. You're equally invested, and the people around them even have like their own little adage that they contribute to the show. Mariah and Cottonmouth's relationship, it's like straight up on some like Greek tragedy type ish.
Yeah, it's not.
They jump into their respective backstories. You come to find out that Cottonmouth actually he didn't always start off as a villain, which is like a thing that I really appreciate them adding to the mix.
He was a punk.
He didn't just wake up one day and decide, I'm gonna be a villain. I'm gonna run the criminal underworld. No, he was like primed for this by his crazy, was his aunt?
Yeah.
Aunt Mabel?
Yeah, man.
Crazy ass Aunt Mabel was chopping dudes' fingers off at the dinner table. Like,
It was.
But Drew, hold it right there. As a writer, and you know when you're developing a character, I felt that Cottonmouth was so extreme, like he was so fragile and so punk, you know, in a sense of pushover, that it's kind of weird that he made a switch so much to the right. Like, he was too much of a punk.
I don't know if he made a switch so much to the right, because the thing about Cottonmouth is, as a villain, what fascinates me about him is that he is brutal, but his brutality is never without reason.
Yeah.
He's a monster, but he's a methodical monster. And when it comes to him doing savage crap, there's always a reason.
Yep.
That's Mariah's problem. Mariah is just vicious because her emotions get the best of her. That's why she freaks out and kills him with the freaking mic stand, because she's just erratic. It's all emotion.
Really?
With him, he would do brutal stuff, but there would be a specific reason as to why he did it. Him throwing off, I call him buffoon number 1. Him throwing him off the freaking top of the roof after he killed Pops.
Right.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
There's a specific reason for that.
He had honor. He really did. He was bad, but he had honor the way he moved. You know, especially when you're talking about the barbershop.
Right.
That was Switzerland. That was the no-fly zone.
Did.
Basically.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because he even said in one of his one of the dialogues that you know, about honor back in the day. I actually got the reverse. I thought that his cousin was more diabolical. Only thing is that it was all about rushing through and making, as long as anything got in her way, she got to get it removed.
Oh yeah, she's very much about herself and her own station, and she will do whatever's necessary to get that done. But the thing about it is, she'll have others do it for her.
Correct.
She hasn't quite, over the course of that season, she grows when it comes to her stature as a villain, because she starts off fairly goofy and meek.
Right.
I need you to do this for me, Cornell.
Right.
You can't do this, Cornell. Oh, that's despicable, Cornell. But then when you like one of the big twists where you actually find out that she by the uncle, and there's like, I don't know if it was blatant or not, but she's like Cottonmouth's mom. Do you guys remember like that hint?
Yeah.
Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
That's when she flips. There's like the switch flips in her head, and she's just like, no, I'll do some vicious crap, starting by killing off this MF right here who told me that I enjoyed it, that I was like purposely out. I'm like, wow.
Crazy.
It goes there.
She's so goofy, even toward the end.
She's still hella, hell yeah. She's hella goofy.
It works. She's
hella goofy.
Yeah, man. She's off, dude. But it works.
She's hella off. But it's like, that's what makes her so like crazy though. And then you have the other villains who are like kind of, they circle in as this like downward spiral of hers happens. So you have like Shades, who I still don't know why I'm supposed to be intimidated by him. I guess it's just the actor that does nothing for me. Shades is supposed to be like the voice in people's ear. And then you have who's really revealed later on to be the big bad villain, which is Stryker. Diamondback?
Stryker, man.
Yeah. You like Diamondback, but he comes in really late to the series. It's like you talk about him, made aware of him early on in the series, but he doesn't show up until he's pumping off rounds, specialized kill Luke Cage rounds into dudes' chests. So, like...
It's interesting you mentioned that, because he came in
guy
so random. Like, he was just like... He was so much of a character that you almost don't fear him.
He's this elusive character that just kind of shows up, and then you learn, oh, I'm Diamondback, and you're like, oh,
okay,
that guy.
Okay, I like that. I kind of, because it was like a mystery.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, comes that freaking, I call it the dynamite round in the Luke Cage, and it's just
that's
like...
what they are, yeah.
Yeah.
Shoots them, they explode all after the fact when the shards are... That was, I gotta say, when it comes to Luke Cage, we haven't even gotten on the main topic of the main character yet.
Right.
But like when it comes to Luke Cage himself, how they explored his power set, we were talking about this earlier, it wasn't power centric. It comes up, but it's a show that's a crime drama first and a superhero show second. Them exploring the limits and possibilities of his abilities was awesome. Yeah. When they find the scientist and they dip back into the whole thing about how his power set makes it so that his skin, it's super dense, but it like can shift and be like altered in some ways.
It absorbs the whatever.
It absorbs everything. Yeah. So how they like the I guess the Dodge, the way how they thought about that is like putting him in the vat of acid. Right. So it can like, I guess, soften his skin so they can get into it. That was great. That was great that they put it in a place where it needed to be. It didn't seem rushed or tacked on. It adds to his character and explores his power set. It's great how they execute that. And then the whole thing where you find out, adding to that, connecting his powers to the person himself. When he finds out about like Reva, her whole big thing.
Right.
That kind of messed me up, man, watching the video.
I think there has to be I think they're definitely in that other season coming up. They have to explore that.
Oh yeah, totally. I even pinpointed the exact moment where you bring that, because it's just like, so, you realize that Reva, he was like hyped on the idea of Reva, which makes sense. It doesn't absolve Jessica Jones for killing her, but it makes Reva less of the, I guess, sacrosanct raison d'etre for his life, Right. Like the fact that she wasn't completely incorruptible, that she wasn't just some angel that floated down from the heavens into the prison that he was at. She had an agenda. She knew what she was doing. She let Luke go down that trek to gain his powers. And then I guess she might have felt like remorse or actually grew to like him or whatever, I guess.
But didn't they get married?
Did they get married?
I thought that was his wife. He kept saying that Jessica Jones killed his wife, but they... Like you said, they're going to have to explore it more.
They got to. I don't know.
I think they might have gotten married. Again, it's me, guys. Right. Do I really pay attention to the will you marry me stuff?
Is
that me? So,
yeah, I'm not the big love story type dude when it comes to that.
I tuned down those parts. But to be fair, though, it makes Reva more interesting. She's not just a Mary Sue, Miss I'm Perfect.
Right.
Super cute, super freaking cute. I call her like Black Felicity from like Arrow and shit. But like... her character having those elements of gray, if not outright dark, makes her more interesting. But it also frees up Luke in future seasons to go back to Jessica Jones and be like, look, I understand what you did. I understand the circumstance of why you did what you did, and it's okay. That's how that makes that scene that they're going to have when they meet up again okay. Because Reva wasn't,
she was no saint.
Yeah. She was no saint herself.
She didn't have just ice water running through her veins. She had ice cubes. Yeah, man. So she has, she was definitely has some.
There's some going on, and also too tying into like what we could see in a future season. Did you guys notice like how they purposely advertise Luke Cage's dad, and they note that he's still alive, and Luke is like, I don't want to talk about that right now. It's like in my head I heard him say that, but I'm like, save that for next season. I don't want to talk about that this season. We'll come back to my father, the preacher. Who we'll see hopefully in later on, if we haven't seen him already, because again, I'm 3 episodes, I got 3 more to go. Right. But there's like the whole drama of that, and when it came to exploring the character of Luke Cage, it's very funny how the parts that you get are important for him, but he really isn't the sole focus of the show. They've done what they did with the other Marvel shows,
Right.
where they introduce you to this whole cast of characters,
Right.
some that you know are going to stick around for future series. Misty Knight has like made herself a staple in the brand already. I'm sorry, I'm throwing it out there. Claire Temple, definitely so. Like even Turk Barrett.
Right.
Where he's like sitting on the roof talking about, yo, you guys from Harlem, man, you're off the chain. I'm gonna go back to Hell's Kitchen where it's safe. I'm like, you are a staple character in all of these shows now, Turk. You better not go anywhere.
Brother.
I love you too much, woman.
It's
You're not going
interesting.
anywhere.
In past shows, we've always complained about the whole backstory thing. They did it at first when they started going, as far as editing wise, it was a little shaky, but then it became really smooth with the backstories, especially when it came with Luke Cage in jail.
It starts off a bit rough. That wasn't the only thing I feel was rough about the show. The way how that's filmed some of the times can be a little bit but only at the beginning. It kind of like smooths out. Right. Same thing when it comes to, and this is like I guess the big thing for us. Right. It's very much a, what's the term that I'm trying to look for? Culturally aware show. Mm-hmm. And I felt in a couple instances early on in the series that it tried a bit hard. And
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Again, this is just me. This is just my one opinion.
You're saying.
Yeah, but I just feel like when the part where in episode 2 where Luke Cage is standing out over the he's like in the park.
Yeah.
And the kid comes up behind him and he has the gun to his head. I had to force myself. I'm like looking down towards the bottom of the bottom half of the left screen. I'm looking for the BET thing, symbol. But I'm like, don't be a dick, Drew. Don't. Just let it be its thing. I'm like, yeah, my eye is like just kind of like poking down, looking for the BET symbol. I'm just like, don't do that, Drew. Open mind. So those parts can be a bit much, but I can understand why that would be in the show. Because mind you, we scoff at stuff like that because as men of color, we know about police brutality. We grew up on the Cosbys and Richard Pryor and Roots, and we saw all the pro-black after-school specials that they would make back in the 90s and stuff. So we see it and we're acclimated to it already. They're doing this for not just us, but an audience of people who perhaps haven't seen, as much of the Black Lives Matter movement as we have. So it's understandable. Mm-hmm. Totally understandable.
And then politically, they had to be very careful with it. And there's definitely undertones and overtones of using what was going on the last couple of years as well as what's going on today, which was great.
Yeah, he definitely put that in there, sending out a message. And
the better beats for that come later on in the season. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, when Luke this is after he's gotten shot twice by Diamondback, and he's walking the streets, he's all messed up, bleeding to death. He has the hoodie on.
Right.
Stop him, right? This is a common thing across the country right now. It's it's a tie back and a callback to Trayvon Martin. Every other person that has gotten exposure, been made public when it comes to police brutality and men of color being shot in the streets. Right. It comes up. I like when Luke Cage is subtle about it. It's great.
Right.
When I feel like they're kind of ham-fistedly telling me about who, members of the I'm just like, I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Relax. I'm already there.
Right.
Right. You don't have to pitch. But they're not doing that for me. They're doing that. It's okay.
Well, it was great. I mean, just the fact that he wore a hoodie 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. Again, here's a military guy. Here's ex-police officer as well, which they don't they don't hit you over the head with that, but it is mentioned when they do the flashbacks. We went to jail. He was a cop. Then you find out future that he was in the military. It was awesome because here's a positive guy. He is.
No, yeah. Luke Cage is very representative, I think, of he is really, even from Harlem, he's very much all-American in his own way.
Right.
He represents America, especially when it comes to black men. He totally represents us in some of the best ways, I think, because he's a man of service.
Right.
He's about protecting people. He's not an idiot.
And he only wore a suit in 3 scenes, which is awesome in a way
and yet he's
because
still
you
very
can
much
be this
street.
all-American positive guy and wear
yeah,
a hoodie
very
and
much.
wear jeans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's not just a street thug, how a lot of people I think coming in who don't know Luke Cage, he's not portrayed as just like a thug. He's very multifaceted.
Right.
And they go about doing that in a way that's very, for a show that's so grimy and so filled with like, crude ass language. It's like you have a character that's very much.
He's the flip side of it, though.
Yeah, he's a total flip side of it.
Total flip
Well
side.
spoken. He can be tough, but he also has like, the caring paternal side of him. So it's a very good take, I think, on a character that a lot of people could have easily just been like, he's too street for me. He's too thuggish.
Right.
So, because that was what a lot of people were waiting to say about him for this show.
Yeah, but I think the mix was totally where it needed to be. It was good.
Yeah.
You guys also to mention one thing, man.
But
failed to mention something. They paid homage to the original Power Man suit, man.
Dude. So yeah.
That mask, whatever, he get that little tiara on. I was like, wait.
The tiara's still on. He's got the armband still on. He just got done swimming, right? He gets out of the after he escapes from Seagate. He lands on the island. He gets the clothes. It's the yellow shirt and the blue pants. He gets
the
it.
Chain. They had the chain for the belt.
And he looks at himself in the car window. He's like, I look like a damn fool. I'm just like, yo, that
was nice, man. I was like, yep, they did it. The
Easter eggs and the callbacks that they made in this season were great. As always, Marvel has really been, I think they have like almost perfected how to work in their Easter eggs and callbacks to the original like source material. I swear, man, that is the way to a lot of the fanboys' hearts.
Yeah.
Like fanboys and girls who like know the source material, who read up on the comics, who know the history. Working those things into a show or film, it does worlds more, I think, than just having a bunch of flashy action and funny ass.
And I saw that coming when I was watching. When he got into the machine, I said, "Wait a minute." If you look at when they locked him in there, I was like,
he has the armbands, the power moves.
I saw that coming.
Was detailed. They paid attention there. Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, I told you, and it's just it makes you respect the studio more. Like the Flash, we love the Flash because. One, it's a fun show. We love the cast. But also it's because they work in a lot of nods to the source material. So when you see those tiny little efforts, when you see the two Flashes rushing to save the cop and you have like the brick wall and it's like you realize that it's like a callback to the original comic book cover, it makes you just you appreciate the source material. It's like the fanboys see it and they don't forget that. So Marvel has done the same thing with Luke Cage, working in those little details, just the armbands, and the shout out to his old school costume. It's great. It's great.
Nice. Put a smile.
For anyone, once you see the series, when it happens, awesome.
What was that, Seven?
I said when people watch the series, when he takes the blouse off the hanger and takes the chain and makes it a belt, it makes more sense that. Oh yeah,
it's perfect. It totally fits what's going on in the show. It's not just something that's tacked on just for the sake of it, like Steel featuring Shaq. Like
that was, dude.
Awful.
Now,
awful,
Charles, I Drew, cover your ears. Now, in the end, end of the series, when this post, there was like a post, and it was like Kung Fu or something. That's supposed to be a bridge to Iron Fist, right?
I'm thinking that. I'm thinking that, man. I saw that when she took the little flyer tab off. Yeah.
It has to be Iron Fist.
Give me a thumbs up when you guys are done, because my ears are plugged and I can't hear anything.
It has to be. It has to be.
And then Stryker, I mean, that made me mad at the end. With Stryker?
Yeah, I'm like...
No.
Because that guy... right there. Right. I know what you're talking. I was like, nah, don't go there, man. But, to me, that was kind of typical. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but...
So hopefully...
Yeah, but now he's going to get Luke Cage's power.
Yeah, because he's his brother.
Right.
But that's typical. So hopefully they find some kind of way. If you guys are listening, don't go there, man.
Right. Don't do it. Don't do it. Make it that it just wouldn't work for him. Well, one more thing.
Yeah.
Earmuffs.
No, that is good. No,
earmuffs. I've had earmuffs on for like 45 seconds.
You're good.
Good, man.
You're good. You're good.
I'm good? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But those two things that I mentioned made me a little upset, a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, I mean, except for the
second one more so than the first one.
well, the Iron Fist thing was cool, but
Yeah,
not the.
I think if she went there and saw it, that would be nice. The other one, I was just like, I was shaking my head. No, please don't.
Mm.
Yeah.
Does this pertain to, without telling me, was this
Right.
pertaining to like Misty Knight?
No.
No.
Okay, damn.
Now, she's
I was
supposed
gonna say,
I thought she was
yeah,
gonna
just
lose her
a
arc.
quick nod for you, Seven, because we know you are a connoisseur of pretty ladies. This
Yes, I am.
probably has like one of the best looking casts I've seen in a show. Yeah, a part of me almost is like, dude, is this like on some CW mess? Because I'm like, dude, everybody's like really quite good looking for the most
Right.
part. Like Misty Knight, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like the mom that comes in and randomly is trying to ask Luke out for coffee. I'm like,
dude, just go get the coffee, man.
just go get the coffee, bro. I'll do it for you if you don't. She's too bad. So it's like,
You know what's interesting? I'll take it a step further. It's not just that there's so many attractive people there, and I'm gonna pull up Misty Knight there.
uh-huh.
Yeah, just for the people, just so they know what time it is, what's going on.
Oh yeah. Oh God.
In the very beginning, when Luke Cage was talking, he was flirting, and he was saying, you know, you're a little bit too old for, you know, what Cottonmouth usually goes for. But but it was awesome, just the fact that kind of rang out through the whole thing, because it wasn't just pretty women or pretty females. It was pretty women. Like, how often do you see women in their 30s and 40s that look really, really good in a show? You don't.
No, they had.
Am I wrong?
They were on point.
In a show, well,
But
I think one, it depends on the type of show, but I see them more than, because here's the thing.
Right.
As viewers, as consumers, and like watchers of like movies and television, stuff like that,
Right.
we think that when people make these casting choices, they try to make sure that the people are consistently good looking. So we have a very different gauge and barometer for what
Right.
constitutes a person in a show versus real life.
Right.
So like,
But it was
I'm looking at the cast, and
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I want to be clear. It wasn't just that they were attractive, but this is the
Mhm.
first time you saw women, like older women.
Older women,
Which
yeah,
is good,
and they
'cause
weren't
they-
some like 20-something.
They're usually
Yeah.
a hot 20-year-old, hot 19-year-old, and you're just like, okay. But you actually see good-looking grown women.
Yeah,
And
they're
it
very,
wasn't, it
It's
wasn't
not like you got
Eddie
like you
Murphy
say,
film.
a teenager.
Wasn't it Eddie Murphy?
You don't have to
Oh
be
my
some-
God.
It's like you don't have to be 18 to 23. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's
Right.
like
Considered like attractive? Yeah. Absolutely so. I see that.
Right.
I think it's, when it comes to like for women especially, because I know there's like some weird thing in Hollywood where it's like if you're over a certain age,
that's just
you're
doesn't
somehow
make
considered
sense.
less marketable, less attractive.
No.
It's a ridiculous freaking concept. Like some of my like hugest crushes are women that are in their 40s, if not older. So
Right.
it's like, what are you talking about? When it
Yeah,
comes to Luke Cage, I like that it's not even an issue, really. It comes up,
Right.
but it doesn't make the chick shake when she hears that. Like Misty Knight is a great character in that regard.
It just highlighted her. That's all.
It made her just that much more badass, I feel. Like the fact that she knows that she is of a certain age, she has history. And that to me is very alluring when it comes to characters in general. But with female characters, a chick that has a history, that's like my kryptonite. I love delving into that, like a person, where they come from, what they're about. What are your scars? Some of the most fascinating things about me is like what messes with you as a person. What's your history? What are your scars like? So Missy has those, and it's great.
And I would say this is the first show where Drew not only had a glow about what he's talking about, but there's a vein coming out in the middle of your forehead.
Like you've been drinking a thick milkshake, man.
Yeah,
Really?
talking about Misty Knight.
No, because she's great. And the thing about it is, I bring her up because you know she's going to come back
Right.
in the other series. It's like they gave her her own little superpower in effect. If you guys notice, whenever she like
when she reenacts the crime
when
scene.
she reenacts the crime scene, that's her power because she's very perceptive like that. I'm like, you don't give that to a character that you're only planning on using in one season of a show.
Yeah,
she's going to come back. There's going to be a Heroes for Hire. She's going to come back. They're going to pair up with Colleen Wing. We're going to have Luke Cage, and we're going to have Iron Fist.
Right.
Like, that's the crew. In the comics, they're always, like, crossing trajectories and meeting up with each other. So you know she's going to come back, and she's great. The actress that plays her, hold on. What's her name?
Oh, I got it. Hold on. It is Simone Cook.
Simone, yeah.
Mizik.
Is it last name Cook or is it Winnick or something like that? I don't know.
Simone Mizik.
Mizik. She's just great. She's whatever it is about her that I just find so awesome. It is what it is. She's charismatic. She has presence. I love her sass face. When she like gives somebody the specific look where she's just like, I love that.
Yeah, she definitely does.
So I do want to see a lot more of her in the future. I hope she does get her mechanical bionic arm, because that's like essential to her character. She gets it from Tony Stark. That'd be awesome.
Right. Oh, Misty Knight.
Misty Knight, yeah.
So basically, she's gonna one day interrogate someone, get fired, right? Or get shot up or something, and then.
Well, she did that. That's happened to her this season already. Where I was at, she smacked Claire Temple around in the interrogation room, and she got in trouble. Right. Then after that, she rolled up on Diamondback, and then he like filled her full of lead because he's crazy and doesn't care. Right. And then Luke had to come in and like shield her from getting hit any further. So it could happen. Those things that's on your checklist already.
Her arm got better though. That's the only thing. They didn't go with the it's something's wrong with it, or I thought they were gonna do that too, but no. Like
I didn't finish this season yet, but I was hoping when she got shot, and I'm like, so if he shoots her arm and the damage is too bad and they have to remove the arm, that could be the setup for how she gets her bionic one. Right. And lest we forget, before I forget, Misty Knight and Iron Fist are a thing romantically.
Oh.
And like Marvel Comics. So when that shows up, you could see them. There's reason for that there for those of you that follow that crap. Like there's reason for them to actually be in each other's, I guess, purview, I guess is the phrase. I don't know.
Does Luke Cage fight Iron Fist?
They have fought, but Luke Cage and Iron Fist in Marvel lore are like best friends. They're the Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker in Rush Hour in the Marvel universe. Seeing them together in future series will be probably some of the most enjoyable like footage that we've seen yet from Marvel, period. I think.
That's the thing that definitely needs work, I think, on the show. They definitely have to sharpen up the fight scenes. I think they could definitely.
Yeah.
They need work. That was probably my biggest gripe. Because I'm looking at some of the stuff. I'm like, you could have did this. You could have did that.
It could be a lot cleaner. Yeah. And you could say the same thing about Jessica Jones, because I felt that the fight scenes were a little bit repetitive. Mm-hmm. But I agree. They did better than I expected them to. But like you just said, Charles, absolutely. There's certain where I'm like, you could have done that a little cleaner. And the problem, I think, is with that, ultimately, it's that Luke Cage, he's the one guy that has, like, superpowers. He's going up against other humans. So his fight with Diamondback, I'm like, how the hell is this going to happen? And you're like, as a writer, you start piecing it together in your head. This dude has this high-powered, get the F out of here, Luke Cage rifle that can, like, mess him up. So I'm like, okay, so we're going to get into, like, this shootout, this one-sided shootout, where Diamondback is, like, taking these big shots at him. And Luke's thing is he can't get hit because one hit from that screws him up. Would have been a great, ingenious fight, but he knocks the pillar over and it turns into a fist fight. And I'm like, you don't fight Luke Cage in a fist fight unless you have like equal or like comparable or like superior super strength to him. So it didn't work in some cases.
Well, the only thing that worked to kind of equal it out, he was already shot once.
Yeah, that's what balanced that out.
He was weakened already.
He's already weak.
Yeah.
I don't know, even still, like, seeing a dude, because the thing about Diamondback is he's not an idiot at all.
No.
He knows that. I love, like, the line where he's just like, I sent you to hell and you came back with superpowers. Ain't that a bit? Like, he knows who he's messing with. So you then have the character do that and then try to, like, drop kick someone whose skin is, like, impenetrable. Like, what? No. Just no. So you're right, Charles. They could totally tweak and clean that up a bit. I feel that they could have maybe added in like bigger stakes for Luke because he's essentially like a big fish in a small, relatively small pond.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the big fish complex, who will sit up there and be like, oh man, this might be the dude that can take him down. The bullets were an ingenious idea, but they should have used that more.
Yeah.
Right. And it had to be very clear that it was a limited amount,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because at this point, well, how many of those random bullets out there? And if the police force all have them, again, one of the things the guy said was, well, if anything that you put military that end up in the hands of the police always end up on the street.
The hands of, yeah, it's true. Totally true.
They give it, I always say the Smallville kryptonite syndrome, where you can go anywhere in Smallville and find a piece of kryptonite. Remember in Smallville?
Yeah. You're randomly just like walking down the road, then you have like 6 pieces of kryptonite that are just kind of hanging out.
So,
I guess it makes sense because the ship did land in Smallville, Kansas. So it stands to reason that you would find shards of kryptonite there, but it was every week. Some person found a piece of kryptonite somewhere. So, but those bullets were an ingenious addition to it because you're asking yourself, what is Luke Cage's primary like obstacle going to be? Like at the end fight, the third act fight that comes towards the end of the series. How do you up the stakes for that? Why is that a scary fight for Luke Cage? How can he possibly lose? Right. I don't think that they've hit that. He has kind of like the Superman problem when it comes to him messing with Lex Luthor. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're a regular dude. You can just smash you and just call it a day. So what's the deal? What's the big obstacle? Right. But yeah, overall, so far, I didn't finish it yet, but great series.
I'm happy.
Much welcomed addition to the Marvel brand. And what's next? Because I can't wait for Iron Fist.
Iron Fist, man. That's it.
Iron Fist is going to be like the wuxia kung fu film. Because they all have very different tones, as you already said. Yeah. So what the tone for like Iron Fist, I feel, will be like the classic Mortal Kombat, Chinese, 36 Chambers of Shaolin, thing. That would be great.
Wait, now, so where does Iron Fist live?
Iron Fist, okay, for those of you who don't know the lore, Danny Rand, a.k.a. Iron Fist, he's from Earth. He's from our world. He gets taken to another dimension during I guess it was a trip with his family, and he's taken to the mystical realm of Kunlun. And that is where, think of it as like the birthplace of martial arts itself. It's a place where you have like all these monks, and there's chi and magic and dragons. It is the Eastern equivalent, I feel, of like Asgard almost.
Wow. Nice.
Okay. You have like these immortals, and you have witches, and you have all these different factions that function within that society. So Danny Rand trains there in the martial arts for 10 years, develops the skills. In the comics, he has to kill a dragon, which infuses him with its energy, which is why he's able to have like the glowy fist crap and have all the superpowers. That's where that comes from.
Well, I hope they show some black people there, because the military art started in Africa.
It did.
We'll see. Expect a lot of Asian folks, which is just because Kunlun is predominantly like Asian, but Danny Rand is like kind of like the black sheep because he's like the little white guy who comes in.
Damn it, man.
Wait, well, so is Daredevil.
Daredevil is too, but he was trained by Stick, who's like the crazy old blind man. Daredevil had a whole other thing going on when it comes to the hand versus the chased, and that's all connected. So when we do come back to the Defenders and Iron Fist, you are going to see nods of Daredevil, as well as Elektra. She got introduced this last season.
If I saw Iron Fist, Daredevil, and Luke Cage on the screen, dude, I would just go ballistic. That'd be.
It's coming, man. It's coming. The Defenders are going to bring it, and then on top of that, they're also going to have Jessica Jones. So we got some stuff going on, man. Netflix, they're killing it right now.
Netflix is no joke, man. They need to stop going to the movies, because I'm telling you, man, Netflix is no joke.
I had to say no to Ms. Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children this weekend, because I usually on Saturday nights take myself out. I had to get it in with Netflix.
Dude, I had me some, what are those things, those Biscoff cookies, some vegan ice cream, man, and I was eating and watching.
Oh, man.
Wow. Excellent stuff.
So, yep. So anything else we got? I know I think we're winding down.
That's it. I'm listen, overall, I'm pleased. And what's next? What's next? Let's go.
What's next? Yeah, we didn't even really go into all that much, though, guys. If you think about it, there's still so much to the show that we still didn't get to delve into.
Oh, there's a lot.
So very enjoyable show. Different. It has its small points. It has its flaws, but I think the pros vastly outweigh what I would consider to be cons of the show. A lot more that I like than what I didn't, and it's great as far as a character goes. For a character of color, they did a brilliant job when it comes to portraying
Luke next week because I don't think you saw this part. So I don't want to ruin that part. That's
well,
right.
we can. The episodes, the main 3 episodes that I'm missing, we can start off with that next week so I can finally catch up and take the L that I've deserved this time. So.
And on that note, thank you very much, Charles.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Drew. Get the salute, and I'm 7, and we'll see everybody at Comic-Con this week. And also,
that's right. Lucky.
Yeah, we got some surprises and a new con at Fort Hamilton, so we'll talk about all that stuff. And the cat just jumped in front of the camera. Thank you.
Okay.
And we'll see you next week, guys.
Con is this week, right? Forgot about that.
Later.
All right.